Mr. Ramadan, karibu keti tafadhali. You have a pen and a notebook there for you to use. My name is Nelson Makanda. I'm the chair of this selection panel. And allow me to say that we congratulate you for being shortlisted for the position you applied for. And thank you for coming for this interview. I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves. Then we come to you. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Abubakar.
Good afternoon, Linda.
My name is Linda Kiome. I serve this panel as the Vice Chair, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome you. Chair, I must make a disclosure. I have had several interventions with Mr. Abubakar here. While serving the Law Society of Kenya as the Mount Kenya Region Chairperson for 2 terms, Ramadhan was my Vice Chair. But Chairman, I will be objective in my assessment for his interview today. Thank you. Karibu Ramadhan.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Good to see you, Madam Linda.
Bwana Ramadhan. Jina langu ni Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi na karibu.
Vizuri kukujua. Asante.
Afternoon, Wakili.
Good afternoon.
Caroline Kituku. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ramadan.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Adam Solo, a member of the selection panel.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Nicodemus Bore, karibu sana.
Asante. Walaikum salam. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Wakili, and karibu sana. My name is 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐴, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Good afternoon, Ramadan. My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of the selection panel, and we welcome you.
Asante. Pleasure meeting you.
Now we come to you and ask you to introduce yourself, making a highlight of those things that you think are important for us to note, relevant to the position you have applied. Indicate if you belong to any professional society or group, and also if you have received any award. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
My name is Ramadhan Abubakar Mukira. I'm an advocate of the High Court and also the president of the East Africa Law Society. I was admitted to the bar in April 2012, and immediately after my admission, I endeavored to seek knowledge and practice in the profession of law. But just to begin in terms of my educational background, I did my primary schooling in Embu County at Kamodada Boarding Primary School. I then went all the way to Kisumu County for my high school education. This was in Maseno School. Immediately after, I then joined university for my Bachelor's of Laws at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. I then, of course, pursued for my admission at the Kenya School of Law. That was in 2012 when I was admitted. Immediately after, I was then, I got an opportunity in Trans Nzoia County as an advocate at Kidiavai and Company Advocates, where I joined as an associate. After Kidiavai, I then joined another law firm in Kirinyaga County. That was at Magee Law LLP, where I joined as an associate, then rose through the ranks to the position of partner. I was with the firm for a period of about 9 years. After Magee, I was then headhunted by the firm of J.K. Kibicho here in Nairobi, which is one of the oldest indigenous law firms in Kenya, having been established in 1973, when law firms, African law firms, were very rare. Most of the firms were either English or Indian. So it was a pleasure to join such a huge firm, where I joined as a partner, having been headhunted. I was, and then promoted to the position of managing partner. Currently, then in 2023, I decided to, due to the entrepreneurial bug that was in me, I decided to open my own law firm. That was Ramadhan Mukira and Company Advocates, where I now practice as the founding member. In my experience as a litigation lawyer, I've had a chance to practice matters constitutional law, family law, land law, and most importantly, electoral law. 1 year after my practice, I had a chance to conduct an election petition in Nanyuki Law Courts, where I conducted and prosecuted MCA election petition, should I say successfully. And Mugogodo East was forced to go to a by-election. In 2017, I participated in a gubernatorial election where I represented a voter against the winning gubernatorial candidate in Laikipia County. We took the matter all the way from the High Court to the Supreme Court, and it was a precedent-setting judgment. Still in 2017, I also had a chance to do other MCA petitions, one in Karatina Law Courts, this is for Ruguru Ward. Unfortunately, in that one, didn't come to a closure, being that one of the parties passed on. Also did another petition in Nanyuki Law Courts. This was challenging the party list for purposes of the nomination at the County Assembly of Laikipia, where I was representing a PWD, and at the setup then, the members, or rather the nominated members, did not have a PWD. So we challenged this, though we were not successful, but we challenged and also took the matter to the appellate courts. I've also had the opportunity to conduct a matter in 2022, where I participated when I was in the farm of 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐴 in the presidential petition of 2022. Where 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐴 was representing IEBC, and I also had a chance, being that I was the head of litigation, to also participate in this particular case. I've also had other matters that I've handled, which I would be remiss of me if I don't mention them. This is a matter concerning the P3 form. I represented the Law Society of Kenya in 2019, where we successfully challenged the levy that was being levied against Kenyans for acquiring this very crucial document in terms of representing and adjudicating their case, because the P3 form is a very crucial document. And the court said that this document should be issued for free to every Kenyan. This is a matter that is very dear to my heart, and courtesy of this matter and many other matters, I was awarded the Pro Bono Lawyer of the Year award, and also the Public Interest Litigation award by the Law Society of Kenya and Amnesty International. I've also had a chance, as late as last year, October 2024, a judgment was issued in a matter where I was doing it pro bono for the people of Burat Ward. In this particular case, the people of Burat Ward, about 20,000 of them, were being evicted by the Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Defense, the Kenya Defense Forces, and of course the Attorney General. And we challenged this eviction, saying that this land, being that it's community land, belonged to the people. We tendered documents, gazette notices from 1923, 1952, and another gazette notice after independence, the succeeding regimes. We challenged this successfully, and the Isiolo Environment and Land Court agreed with us that indeed there are historical injustices, and this land must be given to the people of Isiolo County, Burat Ward, for purposes being that it was community land. This is a matter that is also very dear to my heart. These are matters that make me sleep well at night, Mr. Chair. Other than that, I do believe that I am better placed and I do have the necessary competences to be a member of this particular commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I invite Linda to ask you some questions. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, Mr. Abubakar, right where you stopped, which are those competencies that you think you have that are going to be essential in your execution of your mandate as an IEBC commissioner?
Thank you very much, Madam Linda. One of them I'd say, in terms of my knowledge of the law, my application of the law, my interpretation of the law. As a lawyer, I've had extensive experience having litigated matters concerning electoral law. I also do possess necessary experience in terms of dispute resolution, having having worked as a tribunal member for the Communications and Multimedia Appeals Tribunal established under the Kenya Information and Communications Act, where I served for 3 years, where we had a chance to hear matters concerning technology, concerning licensing of broadcasting. Therefore, this has granted me the necessary experience in listening to matters, adjudicating them in a fair manner. I also do possess experience as a team leader by virtue of working with different groups in terms of I was a member of the Communications and Multimedia Appeals Tribunal. I had a chance to work with a team of different backgrounds. Some were lawyers, some were experts in ICT, journalists. So I do have and possess that experience to work with persons from different backgrounds. Also, as president, I do have a council, and the council are members with different backgrounds, different cultures, different nationalities, by virtue of serving the whole of East Africa region. Also, as vice chair of Mount Kenya, where we had a chance to serve with you, and it was a pleasure. We were different personalities, different age groups, different in terms of seniority, but we had a chance to serve the membership. Therefore, this gives me a good advantage in terms of being a team player and also being a team leader. I also do possess the energy and vigor of my youth. As being a 38-year-old, I do have and possess the necessary energy and vigor to serve the commission. I think for that, I think these are necessary competencies that I can highlight.
Have you been able to work in a high-pressure environment? And if so, you can share the same with this panel?
Yes, I've had a chance to do so in my previous firm as the head of litigation at 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐴. We had several matters that would come, and sometimes clients would get briefs from different clients on a daily basis. I'd say this. These were parastatals, private companies, public companies, and as the head of litigation, matters would come before me, and I would decide on the strategy of defending the client's interests. So this is one of them. And also as a community leader, where I come from, that is Embu County, and a scenario is where there was a dispute concerning the members of our Embu Dallas mosque group, the Muslim group, where there was a dispute concerning an election that was conducted, and they proposed me as the mediator for purposes of serving the community. I took up the job, and I mediated this very high-stake group because there were two factions that were agitating their rights to be leaders of a particular community. So I mediated successfully this process with others, not alone. I mediated this process concerning this particular election, and we found in the mediation that there was an issue with the constitution. And from my advice that there was need to amend this particular constitution, and they agreed, and we're in the process of amending the constitution, and I'm serving as the chair of the Constitution Amendment Committee. And other than that, we agreed that there will be a caretaker committee pending the revision of the constitution and enactment of the new constitution to enable the community to live in peace. That is what I can highlight for now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bubakar, and I wish you the very best. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol, I invite you to ask some questions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ramadan,
Yes.
I'm curious before I come to my question. The Dallas Mosque
Yes.
Committee, whatever you're calling it, are you the only lawyer, or there were others?
There were other lawyers, and one of the lawyers was also part of the groups that I was mediating against. Yes.
Thank you. Dispute resolution appears to be a strong forte in terms of IBC's mandate on electoral matters. So what is your understanding of the mandate of the IBC in dispute resolution, and whether you can cite 2 or more court case that have established jurisprudence on that area. IBC dispute resolution.
Okay. Article 88 of the Constitution establishes the mandate of IEBC to deal with matters dispute resolution concerning nomination, but does not extend to election petitions. In terms of case law, nothing comes to mind, but that provision is the provision I would anchor your question.
Does IBC get involved in dispute resolution? At what stage and what's the procedure?
In terms of nomination, I had a chance to participate in one nomination dispute. This was concerning a governor who was given the nomination certificate by the returning officer, and one of the voters challenged the nomination. And once they challenged this nomination by the returning officer, they filed the suit before the IEBC Dispute Resolution Committee, and I successfully defended her nomination. Yes, so this once there's a challenge on a particular nomination of a particular candidate, then one can challenge the nomination before the Dispute Resolution Committee.
Do you know the procedure?
Yes, I believe so. Under the rules, there are rules under the rules on dispute resolution. Under the Elections Act, there are rules that have been enacted, and I do believe it should begin at the returning officer. In fact, that was one of the objections I raised, that they didn't start at the returning officer at the constituency level. I want to believe that's the provision, that you start at the constituency level, raise your petition, or whatever the determination is made, then you can appeal before the National IEBC Dispute Resolution Committee.
What is the time frame that the IBC has to resolve the nomination dispute?
I believe 7 days.
Okay. So pre-nomination, there have been instances on dispute as so far as academic qualifications of candidates is concerned. Can you shed more light on this?
Yes, a lot has been raised in terms of academic candidates, especially for gubernatorial candidates, where petitions have been filed, and the status as of now, in terms of looking at the law, there have been no amendments in terms of educational status. I don't know if I can recall, but I'm aware of a case concerning Madam Nazlin Omar. There's a case Nazlin Omar filed and other parties who filed challenging the educational requirements, and the court did find some of the provisions on educational requirements to be unconstitutional.
Which ones were those? You invited me to that, so which one?
Gladly. I want to believe for MCA, those were challenged successfully. For MP, National Assembly.
Okay, so should you become successful and you've been appointed as a member of the IBC, how do you propose to strengthen IBC policies and system to improve the vetting of candidates pre-nomination?
Very good question, Madam Carol. In terms of strengthening the candidacy of
the vetting process.
Yes, vetting process.
I mean, to avoid these issues about challenges on academic papers, academic qualifications, when they're required, because it's required in the gubernatorial, you said, and the presidency.
Yes. I think it will be important for IEBC, and if I'm favored to be part of the commissioners, to come up with a policy in terms of interested candidates and how you're going to vet the interested candidates. And it will be important to have a vetting committee that will be specifically conducting this and verifying all the certificates that are tendered as supporting documents, that there is a procedure of verifying these documents with other, like the Council for the Commission for Universities, I forget the name, through that by confirming. So there, at least there is a process of confirming these particular documents. So I'd propose a vetting committee be formed.
Thank you very much. I wish you the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Carol.
Thank you. I invite 𝐀𝐻𝐻𝐿 to ask you some questions. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Wakili.
Yes, Madam.
What do the letters in the word 𝐀𝐻𝐻𝐿 stand for?
The Kenya, 𝐀𝐻𝐻𝐿 means Kenya Electoral Integration Management System.
Thank you. Each activity in the electoral cycle is governed by the law. Please tell the panel and the people watching you the provisions of the law or the constitution that govern any 4 activities in the electoral cycle of your choice. For example, let me give you an example.
Yes.
Articles 81 and 86 of the Constitution speak to the principles of free, fair, simple, transparent, and credible elections.
Yes.
So choose 4 activities in the electoral cycle and tell me which law governs them. And you can be general, it's okay.
Okay. There's voter education. It's covered in the Elections Act and also in the regulations on voter education. We have voter registration, also covered in the Elections Act and the supporting regulation on voter registration.
You have to be a little specific, as I was.
Okay. Okay. In terms of voter education, also anchored in Article 88.
When I say specific, I mean, for example,
yes.
I told you principles of elections, I mentioned them. So when you say, for example, voter education,
yes.
you would say the registration of or the development of materials and so on and so forth, and the conduct of this is covered, as you said in Article
88.
88.4
yes.
of the Constitution
yes.
and the Elections Act. Then you just give, like, for example, a principle that governs, that is there in the Elections Act. If not, just don't worry, just move to the next one.
Okay. Okay.
So we have done voter education.
Okay. Voter registration also covered in Article 88, where voters are expected to register, and IEBC has the mandate to register the voters. And this is anchored in law, and also there are regulations to support the process of registration under the voter registration regulations, I believe, of 2012 or thereabouts. Yes. Then the other another activity in the cycle, I would say the election itself, the voting itself, also covered in, of course, Article 38. Yeah, Article 38. Article 38 that provides. I proceed.
Okay. The reason why I wanted you to say this is to drive me to the question that if you are fortunate and you get nominated, first you have identified all these laws, and I wanted to tell us where is the problem of implementation of the electoral cycle. Is it in the legal process? Because as you know, as you have been saying, you know that there is sufficient laws to cover that. So where is the problem in elections? Why do we have a problem? Someone had mentioned that we probably have too many laws. So I wanted you to just have that in mind and sort of drive us to, if you get to the IEBC, what are you going to do? Because law is your area of expertise. What are you going to do to guide both your colleagues and secretariat in the ensuring the integrity and the credibility of the elections?
Thank you very much, Madam Koki. It is my humble view that there is no issue with the law. as it is in terms of having numerous laws. What perhaps needs to happen is strengthening the laws that we have. One of the main problems that has existed is enforcement of the laws that we have. I'll name one in terms of the Election Offences Act. The cases that exist are not as many as the election petitions that we have. So therefore, there's a problem in terms of enforcement of some of the laws. When we talk about the integrity that perhaps the public may raise an issue, there is need for IEBC to engage the voter, the stakeholders, to ensure that even these laws are understood by the average voter, the literate and the illiterate. So there's, sorry.
No, okay, let me ask. You said that, for example, there is a problem of lack of enforcement of Election Offences Act.
Yes.
At what stage?
I want to say at the campaign stage, that is during the pre-election cycle, where parties, no, it's actually the election cycle, when parties are now campaigning for the particular election. You'll find sometimes there's voter bribery that occurs, voter suppression sometimes may occur. A reading is, of course, the case of Moses Wetangula, which is reported, a Supreme Court case. So, and that is one of the few cases. You'll find there's a provision that says if we've engaged in an electoral offense, you are not liable to vote for 5 years. Do we have a list of Kenyans who've engaged or are registered to have participated in an electoral offense that they cannot participate in an election? Therefore, this enforcement is still lacking.
Okay, thank you, Wakili, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah. Invite FCPA, please, Tanui.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana Mukira,
Yes.
Picking one of the electoral cycle phases, kindly identify for us typical operational challenges that IEBC faces in that particular phase, and how the same can be managed.
Yes. How many? Two?
Just pick, tell us, two,
Okay.
three.
Okay.
Yes.
One, and I can pick in terms of the enforcement. I can still insist.
Start with which phase, and
Okay.
then now what are the challenges and what are the mitigation measures?
Okay. In terms of the election phase, there is the enforcement of the Electoral Campaign Financing Act by virtue of the non-existent of the regulations. But this challenge has existed because of this provision this act has not been operationalized. There is a case that was filed in court. This is the case of by Katiba Institute, AFRICOG, Transparency International, and Philip Nyakundi, where the court stated that there is no need for purposes of regulation of the electoral campaign financing. You do not need National Assembly to approve the laws. Therefore, IEBC, being that this is a challenge, if I have a chance to be part of the commissioners, I will formulate the regulations, which I have done before when I served as member of a Communication and Multimedia Appeals Tribunal. I was part of the regulation. I was part of the team that formulated the rules. I was part of the team that formulated the rules for the Children's Act in terms of the foster care, all of that. So I have the necessary experience in terms of legislative drafting. So if it comes to formulating regulations on electoral campaign finance, I can do that.
So that's one. What is the other challenge?
The other,
you've not mentioned which phase of the electoral cycle it falls into, but any other challenge?
The other challenge that I may think of as of this moment is, of course, recruitment of staff. That's a pre-election. As of this moment, the IEBC does not have commissioners. Of course, there is need for proper enforcement and proper regulation, and in terms of appointing of staff, not only the commissioners, but I'm sure even for the other staff at the secretariat. That's one that comes to mind, sir.
Thank you. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Ati, please.
Ramadan,
Yes, sir.
how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Now, I have a question. Given that you have your history of fighting for disadvantaged groups or working pro bono for some groups.
Yes, sir.
And I want to take you to the area of members of parliament.
Yes.
Who utilize the devolved funds or CDF kitties. And in some cases, you find that they say those people did not vote or were not registered voters in a certain constituency or ward. They cannot qualify to get those funds. So let's discuss that. Are they fair to these people, or they're paying? Is these people did not vote or did not register to vote in that area who are being unfair? So let's discuss that, the pros and cons.
Thank you very much for that question. It's indeed a mind-boggling one, but I'll attempt it. I believe these are public funds when it comes to CDF. And being that they are public funds, everyone has a right to access these funds. Before a right is limited by any person or state organ, one must ensure that it conforms with the Constitution. Therefore, to state that because one did not vote or is not a registered voter in the constituency is not a good condition to place, because in our laws it exists that it is not mandatory to be a registered voter. Neither is it a requirement that before one acquires CDF funds or the bursaries that one must be a registered voter. As long as you're resident, I believe you should have an equal footing as any other applicant.
So are they committing an offense? Because they usually put it even in the circulation, and the conditions are usually put there if you have seen any in the social groups. So are they committing any irregularity?
I would say it's unconstitutional.
I can see very soon you might be representing those people. Let's go to the next one. On the same note, is it discriminatory when members, the MPs, the same MPs and MCAs, decide that they give bursaries based on the family's socioeconomic status? They say the ones who are rich, the ones who are poor. Is it discriminatory from where you stand?
I would say it's not discriminatory. I would say it's not discriminatory, unless
explain.
Unless
because these people, they can argue that regardless of our socioeconomic status, these are default funds. We have a right to get, if it's a bursary, we have a right, and because we come from the same place. So let's discuss that.
Yes, it's an issue of equity and not equality. Because if somebody is well blessed to have the funds, then it would not be equitable for them to still apply for bursary funds. So it would be my view that if you're financially endowed, then leave it to others who are less fortunate to first get. And if there is any surplus, then maybe those, then you who is blessed can get. That would be my.
Thanks so much. I like the passage. Asante sana, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I invite Fatuma, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Ramadan.
Yes, madam.
Please tell the panel how you would mitigate in a situation where a civil society coalition accuses IEBC of lack of transparency in the transmission of results. How would you overcome this without necessarily, while preserving the institutional integrity?
Very well. First, as a commissioner, I would first look at the complaint and, of course, table it with the other commissioners in terms of the complaint having been raised and looking at the complaint and the nature of it. And if there is indeed an issue that needs to be addressed, then, of course, invite the parties to see what is the agitation. And if we can resolve it, then well and good, but first call the complainant to see how we can address the issue, because a complaint must be addressed. Every party has the right to be heard, no matter how flimsy the complaint might be, because an election is not for IEBC, it is for the ordinary voter. Therefore, we must hear the voter. So if there's a complaint on transparency, which is a constitutional edict, therefore, we must handle it and see how best to improve. Perhaps the complaint might be from a good place. Then we try increase the transparency where the complaint has been raised.
In such circumstances, what are the issues that usually would raise a lack of transparency?
Okay. If perhaps a party has raised an issue of they are not aware, just an example, if they're not aware in terms of in their constituency, they cannot see the results of the presidential vote. Yeah, they are not aware in terms of who won, they cannot see the results. Then we as IEBC have a mandate to show them if these results, perhaps if we have a form, we can show them. If it is in the portal, we can help them access, because not everyone has access to the internet. Perhaps they might not have this access. So we grant them this access, and perhaps if it's possible and I'm appointed as commissioner, then I would propose that we could have even computers or laptops accessible to the public, so that anyone can access the public portal to see the results, and the transparency will be there. Yes, that will.
Thank you very much. I wish you well.
Thank you, Madam.
Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I invite Nicodemus to ask you some questions, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Ramadhani.
Yes, sir.
Kenya has faced recurring disputes over voter register. People complain of different maybe items or things missing in their registration. Some people whose names appear registered elsewhere, yet they registered in a particular place.
Yeah.
As a commissioner, what strategic reforms would you propose or put in place to enhance the credibility of the voter database?
Yes.
Over the next 5 years, if you get the chance?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, this has been a recurring issue in every election, where voters indicate that they could not be identified at their polling station. And sometimes you find it's due to maybe old age and persons who perhaps perform manual labor, where you find the fingerprints are lost. I would propose one is to have other forms of identification which are allowed under the, I believe the technology regulations, in terms of you can use the iris or the retina to identify a voter, if we can advance to that, and other forms of identification that can solve that particular issue. The other issue is in terms of registration, where a voter says, I was registered here, but for one reason or the other, I cannot find my name, having transferred. I would propose that if it's possible, change of polling station, if it can be done online, where you change I can change, maybe if I'm voting in Nairobi, to change and vote in Embu online, and if need be, now I appear in Embu for purposes of biometrics. The same thing that is being done perhaps with the DCI document. You do it on eCitizen. We do it on eCitizen, then appear in the particular station for purposes of biometrics. If we can do that, then that can ease even the voting and the voter transfer issue, where one does not have to go to the constituency. That would be my proposal.
You think sometimes it is done deliberately? Because as you are aware, yes, election is about numbers. And if I can access the data at IEBC, yes, I can be able to move some people whom I believe are not my voters from my voting area to a different place?
Okay, good question, but as a lawyer, I'll tell you, I have no evidence to state that this has ever occurred. It would be strictly speculation. So I wouldn't want to say that there's a scenario where a voter would do that, a candidate would do that. So, but if that is done, that is indeed an election offense.
Yeah, we have seen candidates, especially around borders of counties or constituencies, and they'll move their whole clan to one constituency, believing that when election comes, they will vote for that person.
Yes.
Is there a way in which we can stop this?
Yes, of course. That's why we have, in terms of the regulations when it comes to voter registration, where voting registration can be suspended. Yeah, if the suspension, we look at the suspension laws, it can curb such scenarios, so that if a general election is coming, then we stop the registration at a particular point. Immediately, I think before, even if possible, before the primaries begin. If it's possible now to stop the registration, that would curb the voter transfers that usually occur. Even when it comes to by-elections and a successful election petition, we curb the issue of voter registration then.
Thank you and all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I want to invite a professor to ask some questions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ramadhani Abubakar Mukira.
Yes, sir.
Did I hear you talk of your age in your introduction?
Yes, I mentioned it. I'm 38, sir.
Very well. I just wanted to make sure that there will be millennials there.
That would be great, sir, if that happens.
They are represented.
Yes.
Very well here.
It would be an honor.
Now, as a good lawyer that
thank you.
One can see that you have been in your young age and career. You are a commissioner, and a court ruling suddenly invalidates a key electoral timeline, forcing the IEBC to compress its schedule. How would you lead the Commission in adjusting its plans without compromising election credibility? It's hypothetical, but it happens.
Indeed, litigation can sometimes cause distraction in the path or the trajectory that perhaps IBC might have. If such a scenario occurs, it will be my proposal that first we understand the impact of the judgment made by the courts, to understand the weight and, of course, adhere to the judgment, and engage the stakeholders. Inform them the timelines have changed. It is not on our part, it is the courts that have rendered a judgment. Therefore, the timelines having changed, let us see how best can we effect this electoral timeline. So if the stakeholders agree that maybe let's lengthen, or whichever the proposal would be, it has to be public participatory. The stakeholders must be involved before IBC makes a boardroom decision that will greatly affect the parties. That would be my proposal, sir.
Thank you. My last question in this segment. You are aware that IEBC faces a deficit in public trust, whether it's perceptional or real. That remains, that is indeed the case. You've also seen over time that commissioners have either been forced out of office, some have on their own reasons run away from the country, gone into exile, some after claiming forced resignation, some have gone into exile, some have remained. And even for those who left office because their term had ended, there was a public outcry. Mukira is made an IBC commissioner. He serves his full term. He's exiting at 44 years of age because it's one term. Hopefully, he will not have run away. He will not have been forced out of office. For the sake of transition, if that was to happen, as you conclude your term, hopefully,
Inshallah.
what ethical obligations would you feel is necessary on your part when you're leaving office regarding asset declarations and public perception? In other words, you saw the budget and Kenyans were like, oh, so Mukira enters IEBC owning this. And when he leaves, the public might want to know, what does Mukira own after the 6 years with a 62 billion budget? Go ahead.
Thank you very much for that question. Indeed, that is an issue that may be of importance. And as a commissioner, if I had a chance to serve for a full term, and even during my tenure, I would first ensure that under the law, I believe the Leadership and Integrity Act, I believe there is a provision that provides for asset declaration. I would adhere to that provision fully to make sure that the public has information in terms of what I own and how much I am worth. So this will be there. Immediately we are sworn in, I will declare. And in terms of after my tenure, I will play a role as a citizen to create public trust of the commission that I served. And I'm hoping that I'll have a chance to do what is expected of me and to exercise our mandate as required by the Constitution. And due to this experience as a commissioner, I will take my time to also inform the public and to make sure they understand, participate in the barazas if need be, because the main problem has always been the lack of understanding sometimes in terms of the process and procedures when it comes to the election.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Prof, do you have some 2 questions?
Sure. This is usually the high school section.
Yes.
And, given your age, that's not a long time ago. So
it's quite long, sir.
We
Make it simple if possible.
We usually look at partly where your experience is, and I'm seeing that in your young career, you have been the Vice President of the East African Law Society, 2023 to 2024. You are currently serving as the President of the East African Law Society since 2024. It is my assumption that you know about the East African community. And therefore, it has 7 organs. Just mention 3.
Of course, the IALA, the East Africa Legislative Assembly, the East Africa Community Secretariat, and the East Africa, I can't remember, the bank. Yes.
Nothing in your profession? No organ in your line of...
The East Africa Law Society is not an organ of the...
No. Still, where you practice, there's no organ.
There is the East Africa Law Society.
Okay,
Sorry?
thank you. Let me go to the second question. In which prison?
The East Africa Court of Justice. It's not too late. Sorry.
Okay.
In fact, I had a meeting with them the other day.
So you will give you that one.
Sorry for that.
Silent.
Sorry for that.
In which prison did Nelson Mandela serve most of his time while incarcerated?
I would say the Robben Island. In Cape
Thank
Town,
you, Chair,
in Cape Town.
and keep on representing your generation.
Thank you,
wish
sir.
well.
Thank you, sir.
We've come to the end of our session. Excellent interaction. We are glad for your time and for the responses you have made to the questions. We want to allow you to make a comment or a question if you have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr.
Yeah, with your indulgence, my neighbor is saying that I should let her know that her generation is right here in the panel.
Perfect. Pleasure.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure appearing before this distinguished panel. It has been quite an honor. I want to thank you for shortlisting me for this grand opportunity. I do not take it lightly. And I wish you all the best as you deliberate for the candidates. And you play a very important role in midwifing our democracy. I wish you all the best and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You find your certificates with the gentleman at the door. Feel free to pick the water, the notebook, and the pen. Blessings to you.
To you too. Thank you, sir.
Asante. Thank you. Okay. Okay.